Ladies and gentlemen of Leoniceno Orbital, please do not be alarmed. This is a public service announcement. We are here today, independent pilots, to bring you vital information with regards to the current community activities in this part of the galaxy. It's been widely known amongst members of the Federation, Alliance and Empire, and even the independent pilots, that something was afoot with regards to the late President Jasmina Halsey's disappearance and suspected death. Many of the galactic community wanted an investigation as soon as possible. As it turns out, an investigation wasn't mounted until Mr. Zachary Hudson was President of the Federation. But let's have a look at the facts here. Let's actually have a look at the facts. Here we have a beloved, kind soul and very kind-spirited President of the Federation, the late President Halsey, whose approval ratings amongst public opinion through independent news services was down. And it looked like that a vote of no confidence was going to be brought against her. So, was she on the ropes? Many of us believe that she wasn't on the ropes at all. Many of us believe that a fall in opinion could well have been boosted by many traders and independent pilots, and even pilots within the Empire and Federation, with the development of a new interstellar drive, which was on Starship One. True, it is true that the drive wasn't in full commercial use, and the prototype was being tested by the Federation president at the time. And the thing that you have to be aware of is how could she have come back from the brink, so to speak? Well, think about it this way. You have a president testing a brand new interstellar drive, which could, if made available to not just members of the Federation, but to the other galactic factions, through Sirius Core and lucrative business deals, her approval rating would have skyrocketed through the roof. It's really quite an important factor that I want you to be aware of. But for the time being, let's just stick to some of the basic facts. She was on the ropes. Zachary Hudson's approval to possibly take over was on the climb. But where was all this information coming from? How do we know that his approval was on the climb? Well, they were coming through news articles and services that he has a vested interest in. That's right. His opinion polls were generated by the very news agencies that he has a significant investment in. So, could it be, in fact, actually he made his own rise to fame through lies? It could well be, actually, in the way that it's seen. Well, anyway, so we have Jasmina Hawley, the late president. Approval ratings down. Zachary Hudson came out of nowhere. Approval ratings up. He knew that if his rise to power was going to be significant and prolific, he had to make sure that the one person that stood in his way, that is the late President Jasmina Halsey, was out of the way, completely out of the way. He knew that if this new technology for this star drive became available to members of all of the empires and the galactic community, her approval rating would go through the roof. But let's also look at how she intended to expand the Federation, not through conflict, through negotiation, peace agreements, and trade deals. Now, everyone knows that Zachary Hudson's current expansion is based on conflict. You go in, you destabilize the system, you then go in to say, well, we're here to rescue you. We're here to rescue you from the villains that are making it life difficult for you. Come and join us. Conflict, conflict, conflict. This man is a danger to the Federation. He's not interested in peace. He wants war at any cost. Jasmine Halsey, whose, yes, opinion rating was down, she wanted peace through trade agreements and negotiations on a diplomatic level. In fact, when Starship One disappeared, she was on the last legs of her tour of the galactic community, which would have ended up in the Empire and the Alliance states to negotiate these treaties, which could have lasted 100 years. 100 years, significant 100 years of peace. This would have been a precedent that we hadn't seen for centuries. An unprecedented time of peace. Zachary Hudson couldn't allow this to happen. The only thing that he knew what he could do was to bump off the president. Coming flying in at the rescue, his opinion polls through his own newspapers and own news feeds show him to be the saviour of the hour. The general public, unfortunately, being spoon-fed this garbage, believe it and vote him in. Well, we have to ask, we really have to ask, how can we allow a man like this to run the Federation? Certainly for myself, as an ex-Navy officer, Chief Warrant Officer within the Federal Navy, I was, before I left. I was once taught something. Ignore the rhetoric of the really senior members of the Navy. You want to know an enemy, you look it in the eye, you find out what the enemy is. And every time I see this man on the news feeds, all I see is hate. Hate and contempt for the very people that Jasmine Halsey wanted to negotiate peace through diplomacy. We would have had an unprecedented trade agreements through Sirius Corps, who would have made this new star drive available to everyone. Well, of course, obviously Zachary Hudson couldn't allow that to happen. He wanted it for the Federal Navy. These are some of the facts that have been laid on many tables of politicians, congressmen and senators, and news agencies. Oh, let's not forget then. So, actually, where am I going with this? You're probably asking yourself, where is this chap going with this? Look at the commission that was set up after, might I add, President Hudson was elected. The commission was set up. They stumbled across certain pieces of information. He couldn't allow this information to see the light of day because he was complicit in the murder of the former President Halsey. Someone within his administration, working under his authority, created a star drive malfunction upon Starship One. Yep, let's also just take a quick sidestep. Sirius Corps, upon finding significant pieces of the wreckage, have even actually confirmed there was a malfunction. Well, those pilots that have been flying out there in the black know full well that things can go wrong. Integrity fields start to collapse, modules start to break down. Next thing you know, you're having to repair yourself out in the middle of nowhere. We know how fragile these pieces of technology can be, and we're always aware of this when we're flying on long exploration excursions or doing long trade routes. We're not stupid. The pilots of the galactic nations are not stupid. It doesn't take a lot to malfunction a drive. But we have to believe that the engineers and the scientists of Sirius Gov, they actually found a malfunction. Well, put two and two together, it doesn't take a genius to come up with four. A device fastened to a star drive to create a malfunction. ends up in the destruction of a ship. And the information that these commission officers were discovering, that Hudson's involvement, he couldn't allow this to come to the light of day, and they were killed. News reporters bumped off. Family members of the Navy threatened. I left the Navy, the Federal Navy, when I found out what was happening. I left the Federal Navy to become independent, because only through my independence from the vile, thieving, villainous, scoundrel, murdering bastard that Hudson is, I could make a change so that I could bring the Empire and the Alliance and the independent pilots together to fight against this oppressive regime. He doesn't want peace. He wants war. Look at how he expands his borders. Conflict. Always conflict. Always conflict. He goes in, destabilizes a system, and then when the system's virtually on its knees, he flies in and says, look, we're here to save the day. We'll save you from these oppressive individuals, which he set up in the first place. I took an oath, along with many other Federal Navy members, took an oath to protect the Federation from enemies, foreign, domestic, to protect those who can't protect themselves. And now, ladies and gentlemen, members of the Federation, members of the Empire and Alliance, and you independent traders and pilots out there, the Federation is under threat as we speak. It is in danger from this evil man that wants to take over the galaxy for himself. But, let's take a step back a second and calm down. Let's take a breather and look at some more details. The only member of the escort team of the Federal Navy that was escorting the late President Halsey managed to limp his way back to civilization. His ship was commandeered, dismantled. No, they didn't actually get an opportunity to fully investigate what happened to his ship. And his star drive was also linked to the President's star drive. Well, of course, we got the so-called official report that there was a malfunction according to his sensor readings. Where's that pilot now? They say they got an interview from him, that he was debriefed, and that they provided all the necessary information. I have friends who are still in the Federal Navy. That pilot's never been seen again. What, is he out on the rim? Not very much. I've got friends out on the rim. One of the things that I was, when I was growing up through the Federal Navy and going up through the ranks, was that there is always an element of truth to any rumour that you hear. And you hear a lot of rumours over card game tables and in the mess hall. A lot of Federal Navy pilots left the Federation because they saw something which was corrupt and evil in the new president, and they didn't want to be a part of it. So let's have a look now. We have commission members being bumped off. News agencies being bought out. Vested interest by the president. News agency reporters being killed as well. The only remaining and surviving escort of the Federal Navy delegation to the late President Halsey survives, comes back and disappears. Where is he? Where's his testimony in front of the public press? Every single turn, every news article that comes out, corruption, thievery, murder. These are the tenets of Zachary Hudson. And now we have to believe that this recent community endeavour to go out and search for pieces of wreckage possibly belonging to Starship One to be investigated. When Datu announced that they were doing this for the galactic community, It wasn't shortly afterwards that the President thought, hell, I better start doing something like this. Why? Because he's a compassionate man? No, it's not because he's a compassionate man at all. It's because he needs to get his hands on this information as well, so he can bury it. Truth doesn't get out. You want to know what happened to the late President Halsey? I beseech you, I plead with you, I beg with you, do not support the Federation endeavours and involvement of this particular galactic community outreach. Take your wreckage that you find to the independent station of Datu. They are the ones that are going to find the information for you. They are the ones that are going to release the truth. And you know something? If it ends up coming out that they have found what has been said all along, I will publicly apologise. But Zachary Hudson wants this information. He wants it for himself so it doesn't come to light. He will put spin on it in any way he possibly can, because as long as it doesn't come back to him, he's safe. People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people. Right, I've just been informed that the security services on board the station at my landing bay doors. It seems that they've actually found me. For the time being, I don't know how long I've got, but I will keep on going and try and give as much information as possible. Please be aware, ladies and gentlemen of the Orbital, this is a peaceful protest. We're getting this information out to you as soon as possible, as quickly as possible. Any information that comes available to independent pilots, we're asking them to feed it back to the galactic community. Let the truth get out there. The truth will set you free. Free from the lies that Zachary Hudson is spinning. No, right. Well, we've got to go. We've got to go. Get out of here. Kill the comms. Kill the comms.
Stop that ship. Blast them.
Frameshift charge detected. Frameshift drive charging.